Okay, so let me start it this way. Without going into all the details of my shady past, before I was in public service, I ran the legal aid program for the elderly, for senior citizens. I was director of the Gray Panthers, and I saw particularly how often Americans, particularly the elderly, but people of all ages, just found the court system incomprehensible and really couldn't figure out how it might work to address, their concerns. And so we made a special focus of trying to help those folks wend their way successfully through the judicial system. And many taxpayers who appear before the tax court are not represented by counsel. So whenever I think about the tax court, I think about those days with seniors and at legal aid. And these folks appear before the tax court. They don't have counsel. They're representing themselves pro se, come to court on a tax issue, which certainly can be confusing and certainly sometimes be intimidating. And I'd like to just go down the row. We'll start with you, Mr. Arbeit, and have each of you describe in the best way possible what you feel you can do to make sure that they're going to get a fair shake in that court. Mr. Arbeit.
Chairman Wyden, you're correct. Going before the tax court can be life-changing. If confirmed, I will make sure all taxpayers know their rights and understand the legal process, which is essential for a fast and fair resolution of their cases. There are many opportunities for this, even before a trial. To give just one example, I will make sure taxpayers know when they may have access to pro bono legal representation, whether through a clinic, a law firm, or some other service.
So, Mr. Guider, also, I've gone through your qualifications and your background, and I'm going to support your nomination. I know that this has not been an area that you have spent a lot of time on, so I'd be very interested in what you'd like to do, given your particular background, to make sure that those folks who don't have counsel and come into this system, this odd kind of structure for them, what you can do to make sure they get a fair shake.
Certainly. Thank you, Senator. I do come from somewhat of a different world, but I think I do have experience, working with clients. And while they're not pro se before the tax court, they may have limited experience. So I've found myself in situations where I've needed to sort of explain things to them. And I think I could, carry that approach forward into this service. I think my first step at the court would just be about communication with those litigants, via the court website or email communications or mailers, just so that they understand the status of their case or the procedures that they need to undergo to process it successfully. So there would be that kind of outreach. I might, in advance of hearing day, set up an informational call so they can call in and learn about what to expect day of, what to bring with them, just so that they can be better prepared for the process. And then I think, when they're appearing before me, whether it's via Zoom or in a courtroom, just treating them with respect and dignity and patience and understanding that they're coming from a place where they might not understand the process very well.
Were some of those conversations you had in, as we always say, our previous life in terms of housing and the like, were some of those instances where you were trying to explain to people some of the housing issues that you were working on?
Yes, Senator. I mean, that revolved around housing issues as well as, the portions of the code that related to those relevant credits and, perhaps the portions of the code that relate to partnership law, which is often how those transactions are structured.
That's a piece of cake. Everybody knows partnership. I see all the attorneys in the background howling. Okay, thank you. That was what I was interested in hearing from you. Ms. Fung, your thoughts. What are you going to do when confirmed? Because I believe we're going to get all three of you confirmed, and we've been working in a bipartisan way. Senator Crapo, Senator Cassidy, we're all trying very hard to get this done quickly because we know people need this service. And your thoughts, Ms. Fung?
Yes, Senator, certainly every taxpayer deserves to be heard, and especially in someone who is pro se in a fair and impartial forum. I would essentially ensure that they have all the information that they need before trial. I would specifically point them to the tax court's website, where there is information on how the process of a tax court case works, and I would schedule pre-trial meetings or conferences to ensure that they understood the process from essentially my standpoint, and that they had an introduction to the process.
Good. I very much appreciate your answers, and I'd like you three, with our other three, to be part of the group that really in the future people talk about as exceptionally committed to throwing open this odd, system. My wife basically told me at one point, she said, I'm going to marry you because you're not really a real lawyer. He said, you're somebody who runs the legal aid program for the elderly and the like. And, I think that's an expression of what a lot of people feel when they're up against this bizarrely unusual system for people who don't have the experience. And I'd like to see you all go into the history books as the group that really made a difference in terms of taking this oddly complicated system and making it intelligible to folks who don't have power, don't have clout, don't have counsel. And Senator Crapo.